complicated from outside. It seems like we are all different, but in the end, we're all same. People from many different backgrounds. Yes, there are some small mentality differences, but I've noticed that we all have the same needs. We all want to be accepted. We all need love. If you really, really want something, you have a dream, but you are scared, you're afraid, do it. Still do it. Be afraid, but still do it. So you will never regret that you did it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You'll only ever regret what you didn't do. Never.
I'm Farah Shammas. Welcome to Hotel Talk. We hope you enjoy listening to this friendly conversation between people connected by real life in hotels.
Welcome back, everyone, and Merry Christmas to you all. This is going to be released around Christmas time, and we're very excited. And we're actually going to discuss a little bit about Christmas and Christmas stress on this episode with Ilona Markosyan, who's a psychologist and psychotherapist based here in Limassol, Cyprus. However, not from here. We're going to delve into that a bit. So, Ilona, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Farah. Thank you very much for having me here. I rarely miss an episode of your podcast. And you know, I have a favorite one also. So Merry Christmas to everyone. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, the episode with Yasmina made me cry.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah. Thank you. So, I want to start by asking you about your personal journey, where you're from, how you were inspired to pursue a career in psychology, and how did your journey bring you to Cyprus?
Oh, it's a very, very, very long story.
give us an elevator pitch.
Yes, a brief, yes.
Synopsis.
Briefly, yes. I'm from Armenia. Yeah. I was born there. I lived there until 18 years old. I went to school there and started university in the Department of Mathematics. Something I didn't like, but
wow,
yes,
that's very different.
It is, and the times were very difficult in Armenia. If I don't know. You might not know, but we had war in the 90s. Yeah. We had no electricity, no food, no water, nothing. And it was very, very difficult. So I, as an excellent student, I had few options to pursue a career in something that I wouldn't need exams and proper preparation, extra preparation, like from this theory, as we say here. So mathematics seemed something very logical. And I didn't like it. Obviously, yes, but an opportunity came from somewhere I didn't expect. My mom is Greek, so I'm half Armenian, half Greek.
I didn't know that. Yes, so you grew up speaking Greek?
Well, as all the kids, so Greek parents from abroad, basic stuff, but there was an announced scholarship from Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Hellenic Republic for kids of Greeks who live abroad. So I took a chance and I was thinking where to apply. And my best friend back then, who is now my supervisor at PhD, and she's a vice rector of Yerevan State University, she was studying psychology. And I was so jealous of her. And this is how I chose psychology, out of jealousy. Yes.
Healthy jealousy.
Healthy jealousy. Jealousy, we have to remember there's not something bad. It always shows your desire and your potential. So
I love that.
Yes,
yeah, not to view things negatively. Yeah.
Yes. So I said, what am I gonna study in Greece if I pass the exams? And I said, psychology. Because their lessons were much more interesting than mine.
Well,
yes.
Psychology, maths, yes. I mean, I would also agree. But maybe there's some, maths whiz kids listening to this who would love to prove us wrong. But
listen, mathematics is something very beautiful, but you have to love it. It's difficult. If you love it, it's perfect. But for me, it didn't.
It wasn't your calling.
It wasn't. It wasn't at all. Yes. So. I passed all the exams, and from the whole Republic, out of everyone, 4 people passed them. Me also.
Well
and it's a big honor, yes. So I left to Greece, to Pandion University, to study psychology. Then in Greece, in Athens, and I lived there for 16 years. I did my master's then in Yerevan State University together with my already professor best friend. Yes, she was my supervisor then as well. And I lived in Greece, I was working, and at some point the crisis started. And it was very, very difficult as a foreigner to live in Greece, very difficult. And my brother then already lived in Cyprus with his family and said, listen, why don't you come and try? Let's see. What if? I said, okay, let's do it.
Wow, and when
Yes.
was that?
It was 9 years ago, and he said to me something very wise, big brother. If you love Cyprus, it will give you everything, everything. It will love you more. And 9 years, I have everything I've ever dreamed about. So,
That's so nice. That makes it really emotional. I love Cyprus, and it's so nice to hear other people coming here and really appreciating it. I think many times we laugh that newcomers to the island appreciate it more than people who've been here all their life or who are from here. It really is a wonderful island. It's amazing.
It is, yes. It's a magical island, full of love, full of light. I really found myself in Cyprus because I lived 18 years in Armenia, 16 years in Greece. So it's like I'm half Armenian, half Greek. It was never home. And Cyprus felt from the first days like home.
Yeah.
It is home.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So let's go into Cyprus and the Cypriot influence. How does that influence or change your approach to psychology, especially being from such a multicultural environment yourself and background, and working with people because you speak Russian as well,
Yes,
don't you?
I speak 5 languages.
Oh, wow, I'm always in awe. I don't want to use the word jealous, but I'm always in awe of people who are good at languages. So you literally have clients who are Cypriot, Russian, probably British, Armenian. I mean, everything, mixed backgrounds. So that's massive in psychology as well. It's a big bonus for you, but how does that affect how you view people, situations, treat people?
You see, it seems complicated from outside. It seems like we are all different, but in the end, we're all same. People from many different backgrounds. Yes, there are some small mentality differences, but I've noticed that we all have the same needs. We all want to be accepted. We all need love. We all need safety. So we're not that different. So yes, I don't see any difference. Yes, in the beginning it was a little bit until you understand, because people from Germany, from Israel, from Armenia, they're all so different until you get to know them better. And after 2-3 sessions, you understand that here we are. We're all the same with the same needs. We all need 3 things: acceptance, love, and safety. That's it.
Yeah, and they're as important as food and shelter. That's what people say.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's amazing. It's like that beautiful book that was made into a movie. What is it? The mole, the boy, the horse, and the fox. I've said that in the wrong order, but yeah. And the little boy says, "I don't understand why we're all judged from how we look on the outside." Because it's on the inside where everything happens.
Yes, and on the inside, we're all same, because I see different people, they come into the office and the first meeting is always, there is this boundary, and you try to see where is your boundary, where is the person's boundary, and there is sometimes this, I don't know if it's in English, the word facade.
The facade on the outside, yeah.
Yes, and once it's gone, once the person feels safe, and it's gone, it's just a regular little child hiding behind it.
And the bravado, sometimes the joke, sometimes whatever it might be.
Even aggression sometimes is just for your safety. And once the person feels safe, no boundaries. And it's no boundaries. There are boundaries, healthy boundaries, let's say. But there is no this fake facade which is protecting the person, and then we're all same.
I love that. So mental awareness, mental health, it's evolved in Cyprus so much over the last few years, as it has everywhere in the world. But I think here, especially in this part of the world, with, we're not America, we're quite far behind that. I know in America, 20 years ago, everybody had their therapist. Everyone was like, I'll discuss that with my therapist. And there's a big taboo in Europe with having therapists, seeing therapists. It meant, that means you're crazy. There was a lot of fear surrounding that. Nobody wanted to discuss it. That's changed a lot, and I think people our age are very much accepting that. Not everyone, but it has evolved a lot. A lot of children need it, especially after COVID. COVID has, it was a big thing, like lockdown for 2 years. It really, and I wonder how many studies are going to come out and what we're going to see in 20 years' time, the effect that had on children of different ages. Tell us a little bit about that.
In general, what I see, things do change. And in the beginning, it was, I had some requests from local people, like, can I come on Sunday from Larnaca to Limassol incognito so nobody knows that I wasn't? And please. Of course, we do have confidentiality, but so
much as trying to avoid any possibility of anyone
and if
knowing.
you see me in the street, please, and don't say anyone. We do not say it.
Yeah.
But this was still like every second person would ask for that. Can I do it online? Can I do it from my car? My wife doesn't know. My husband doesn't know. Nobody has to know. Now I see how it's not a big period of time, 7 years, right? But I do go sometimes to school with seminars, and at some point I had I've done some work with Hope for Children, yes. And what I see, children, 8, 9, 10 years old, boys, girls, they are so emotionally intelligent. They are so much smarter than we are. And they come to me and say, Kyria, do you know that it's okay for boys to cry? Oh my God, yes. And do you know that if someone's sad, we go and ask because it's called empathy? I'm like, oh my God, they're so smart, and things change. And if 9 years ago, even I can go back to Greece for my kid because I had a gap until I had licensing and everything here in Cyprus, and going back 15 years back, right? If 100% of my clients were women, 35, 45. Now, 50%, even more, 60% are young men, older men, people of older age and younger ages. So what it means we're progressing.
We're progressing.
Yes,
That's so amazing to hear, really.
Yes.
Very touching. Because, now, the latest stats I read is 1 in 3. It was 1 in 4 before. Now I think it's 1 in 3 people at some point in their life will have mental health issues. That doesn't mean they'll go absolutely crazy or be, have to be sectioned, but they will have some form of mental stresses, which is very normal. And that's why we call it mental health. Just like we go and exercise our gym and go to our gym and work out, take care of our body and our health, our mental health is also very important. And I think, we live in an era that we've never seen before. Our brain has to process so much information every minute, the images we see, what's bombarded, what's expected of us. And that load on people is just excessive.
Exactly. And I would even dare to say that it's not 1 in 3. It's everyone. Because do not forget the crises we usually have. Or let's say we are women after 40. We have so many issues with our appearance, with the social media that is this propaganda. How do we have to look like? How skinny or young we have to be? Oh, you have wrinkles. Oh my God, it's a big no. Oh, you have freckles. It's a big no. You are this. So many things. And every one of us is going through these issues, trying to figure out how to be in this world and how to be okay with yourself and with the world outside, how to maintain this healthy balance and boundaries is too much. So
we also see ourselves much more than we ever did. So, I know, like, for example, in Austria, Queen Sisi, she, historically, I love this story, she didn't have any picture taken of herself, I think, after the age of 30 something. So that's it. I want to be remembered like this. And that was it. And then, she obviously sat in front of the mirror every morning, and everyone would, if someone could afford it, they'd have a looking glass because not everyone had mirrors. So they'd see a reflection of themselves one way or another. But most people didn't have photographs or as many. Now, half of our things are on Zoom or on social media. So I realized that during lockdown. I'm like, I've never looked at myself so much in my life. And suddenly I was like, oh, I don't like that. Or, oh, I laugh in a strange way and I wasn't aware of these things because of this, technology.
So much attention. And especially with social media, when you expose yourself to social media and you take a picture of yourself naturally laughing, not being photoshopped, not being, with makeup or... And everyone feels entitled to come and tell you, oh, you're ugly. I'm like, what is happening?
I know.
What is happening?
They did that with Julia Roberts. It was quite a famous thing. Did you see? Yeah,
I saw this.
She posted a lovely picture of her and her niece just playing cards on a Sunday morning. They hadn't seen each other for a couple of months. She just didn't expect the comments that came out. And then she, it was quite nice. She did a nice video and she said, I'm 50 and it still hurts, but I can take it. But imagine if I was 15. Imagine if, I wasn't so secure. Imagine if I hadn't been through what I've been through. It's just unnecessary. But it is funny. I mean, I do a lot on social media and especially with my Cook Vegan channel. That's just me at home showing everyone how to make healthy and yummy food for people. So invariably, I was breastfeeding or some things. I'd be in my pajamas. I'd have like stains all over me. It'd be in the morning. I wouldn't have makeup on. And people, I had people stop me like in Limassol and be like, oh, just to let you know, like you look really nice today. Did you just finish work? And why do you ever go on social media without makeup? And I'm like, because I'm a normal person. I don't sleep in makeup. I wake up looking normal and I have no problem going on or without a filter and just that's real. But yeah, for me, that doesn't bother me. It just shocks me. But for other people, that might bother them.
Yes. A lot, and especially if it's, for example, I have clients which are women and they have one child and they come and say, I am falling apart. And I see on Instagram a mother of 5 that woke up at 5 o'clock and she did everything and she's fully dressed up and she has makeup and she cooked and cleaned and took the children. I said, like, this
is that real?
It's not real. Yeah. And this is so damaging. It's so damaging. And people who are more vulnerable, they do believe that. And they come like, I want to be like her. It's not real. And this Instagram.
And also your baby doesn't need her. Your baby needs you.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Whatever it is you are, that's what I tell Yasamina, we're all doing our best. And we're not perfect. And I always laugh because I tell my kids, this a million times a day, how much I love them. And then I'm like, I tell my friends, like, I bet you they'll still end up on a couch with a psychologist one day saying, and my mother, I'm not even sure if she loves me.
Yes. Yes.
So, So, okay, let's talk about stress and coping, since you mentioned that. What are the most common stressors that most people face nowadays that you see? And any practical advice you can give us on how best to cope with these common triggers?
Listen, the most common stress factors are work, of course. I think that we have became faster and faster and faster and faster, and we work more and more and more and more, and we forget that we cannot live like that. And every second person that comes has anxiety, burnout, stress, and depression, and this is how it is. If you want to succeed, you have to be faster. You have to work more. And these are the most common factors. And
maybe because we don't have a cut-off time, like before you finish work.
Yes.
Even if you worked overtime, you stayed until 7, that was it. You left and there was nothing you could do. Like you didn't have most people didn't even have laptops. I didn't have internet at home, until quite late anyway. We didn't have smartphones. So you really left work.
Yes.
Whereas now work's always with you.
If you left work, because I remember back then, and people would stay overtime and come home at 9 and come home and work at night. So the most common factor is this, stress. And then if you are a parent, I don't know how you do. I don't know how you do with 3 kids, but if you do not have especially help, then this is another stress factor. And it's not popular to speak about how a parent is tired of their own children, but it is a huge stress because you come from work, you have spent there 8 to 10 hours, and you come to your second shift to clean, to cook, to hug everyone, to talk to everyone, to make time for everyone, to listen to everyone. And you know this, when you walk and after you, there are 3 kids walking and saying, Mama, 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 I want this. I want that.
Yeah. That's pretty much my life.
Yes. And you wish they go to sleep earlier and they don't. So you don't have time for yourself. So this is stress. This is a huge stress. So coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, I was told as well, but you manage to go and do your hair and do your nails. And I'm like, that's not like time for me. That's like a necessity. I can't rock up to a meeting and, look a mess. Like, that's all part of it. I'm like, that's actually adds to my stress and pressure that I have to go and do that. And I have to, look the part.
Knowing you, and I've seen you usually with your phone doing stuff, ordering food, and with one hand reading something and with second hand doing some stuff. And mom's head is never...
Never.
It's always working, right? So you have 2 jobs. I always say, especially to people who are preparing to become parents, firstly, you have to balance your life, your work-life balance. These are how we can cope as we can. And then get help. Before you decide to have a child, get help. People think that having a child is a beautiful journey. It is a beautiful journey, but it's a very, very, very hard journey, especially if you're planning to work at the same time. It's not going to happen. You're going to burn out. And they come disappointed and say, nobody told me that. Well,
Sorry,
if you knew, if you knew, nobody would have children. So I think that the most important is to know when and how to ask for help. It is okay. It's not a weakness. It's your strength. You have to ask for help.
I've written about that recently.
Yes. Go to therapy. Go before. Structure your day. Structure your life to have it balanced. Because if we think that our life is a pie, and we have to have equal pieces of this pie in everything. You have to have your love life, your personal life, your personal space for yourself, your time with kids, your time at work, your time for your health, your sport, everything. You cannot work 20 hours and then do everything then. You're going to be sick. At some point, you're going to burn out, and then you slowly, depression, clinical one. So before you start building family, anything else, you have to find balance with yourself. And this is something that you can do easily in a therapy. This is something I always say, go to therapy.
Yeah. And just keep your humor. That would be my advice. Like, don't take everything so seriously. Don't, I had, Yasmina well, but we were late for school yesterday, and that caused a lot of stress for the children. Of course, we were late because of them, but by the time I got to school and the one was going in, and Yasmina was worried, and I said to her, Yas, actually getting up and getting to school on time is easy. That's easy, and going to school and having your day. But what's tough is when life does throw things at your path. And your brother was late, and we couldn't find this book, and I don't know what, the breakfast dropped and had to be remade, and all of these things happened, and we still got in the car, and we still came to school late, and we still smiled, and we still put our head high, and you're still going to have a good day. I said, that's the hard part, and that's what you have to be proud of now. So just go with that. Have you done your best? You've done your best. Have I done my best? We've done our best. Okay. And, in a year's time, is this going to matter? No. Like, just laugh about it. Just, take everything in your stride and just stay positive,
And also, what you described, this is something I often mention to my friends, to my clients, to my family. Here is your problem, and you can decide either you are in the middle of this tornado or you're outside. Either you can drown in your own feelings and sorrow and anxiety and think, oh my God, why is this happening to me? It is happening. It's so difficult. Or you can come out and say, okay, this is a problem. How can I solve it? Because what you teach your kids, and I know how successful you do that, is this is a problem and here are solutions.
That's my motto. For every problem, there's a solution.
Exactly.
So we just find it. So how do family dynamics in Cyprus compare to other places that you've worked in?
What do you mean?
Well, actually, yeah, I mean, we have covered a lot of that, but still, in Cyprus, we've got a lot of family support. We do have still quite this will probably be commented on, but chauvinistic or male dominated or sexist society. I'm not saying in all families, but there is still this view on the male dominance, or the men being the provider, the woman being the homekeeper. But on the other hand, women are still going out to work and they are expected to bring in. So all of these things, play a role. Luckily, we've got a lot of grandparents to help and support, so that's a massive plus. But how is this? Yeah, how do you see this?
I can tell you what I see, what small differences and big differences also I see in different cultures, different people, because I work with every nationality and every age. So local society, Cypriots, they get a lot of help from papous yaya. They have their grandparents. They help even more than even parents do for their kids, right? And I see that traditionally, man goes to work, he provides, and woman is expected to work as well and to take care of kids. But they have really huge help from parents. And this is good. On the other side, I don't know how this part, I see people, especially men who in their 40s, they still live with their parents. And this is something, as a psychologist, I can explain, but as a woman, I'm like, okay, no comment. And how do they expect to have family? What they do, they go from parents' house to wife's house. And they expect the same treatment from the wife.
Which is a different generation, a different dynamic, a different relationship.
Exactly. And women are strong, self-confident, they're providing as well. So they expect equal contribution, and they get a baby.
Yeah.
This is difficult. And then I see another part of people.
And that can happen with women as well. I've seen women that are very, for lack of a better word, entitled. They're really treated like a princess at home.
Yes.
And then suddenly they're married and they're like, why isn't their husband treated them like their father and mother did, and literally babysitting them? But the man's like, well, no, I married a woman, and and so you see it from both sides.
This is what happens when we come from different backgrounds, and this is what usually happens when I have in family counseling.
Yeah,
I see, I see a Cypriot man with Russian woman, or Russian man with English woman, and I see these cross-cultural difficulties because they come with their cultural background and they come with their family baggage,
history,
and they sit down and they expect from each other things which are wild from the other person. And there's like, how could I know? How could I even know that you expect from me this and this, because you're that dude? I
didn't grow up with that. I've never seen that.
Yes. So this is it. So we try to.
But what happens in these? Because we're saying everybody underneath needs, the safety, to be heard, to be seen, to feel secure, to feel loved. But there is the paraphernalia there. There is the I remember talking to an English Cypriot guy who was saying he divorced his wife because she didn't have the bandufles at the door, the slippers at the door, and who does that? And this was a young guy. I'm like, what? And I'm like, nobody does that in Cyprus. Like, you think in England, because your grandparents left in the 50s and this, so how do you then cope with that? Because
listen, whenever a couple comes to my office, and what I see is that if they still love each other, if there is a feeling, everything can be fixed. This is the first thing. We sit down and we say, so this is you, and this is your partner, and this is your problem. Usually people fight with each other because they want to be heard, and they don't want to listen. The moment we start listening to each other, give each other time to listen what you want. Sit down, write it down. Here is your problem. Stop fighting with each other and solve the problem. Everything can be solved if there are no deal breakers. Let's say if I really want children and you really don't want, then it's good to leave each other, and go and build something else with another person, because you're going to torture each other. If now still there is chemistry between you two and there's a dopamine and everything is good and oxytocin, it's going to fade away and you're going to see the problem again after 5 years. You're going to fight over this thing. And then I always say that if you still see in your person 70-80% of something good, your values are the same, you really believe that this core of this person is good, then we can work with that. If there is no resentment, if there is no disappointment, because there is always a thin line. If you cross that line, there is no going back. And here I can even suggest, if there is an interest from our audience, to read something more about it, about John Gottman and Julie Gottman. These are the most important, interesting, and I love them, therapists of couple counseling, and they have made a research that for 40 years they research couples. They have created Love Lab, and they put a couple in a room, and they have windows, they have mechanisms and wires and everything, and they can 96%, if I'm not mistaken, 96% being correct. I don't know how to do tell this in English. Yes, they can look at you with your partner and say, what are the chances you're going to stay together or not? And there are a lot of interesting books and articles about how to keep your relationship healthy, how to communicate with each other. So what I see, and overall I can say, is that first is the chemistry, second is the communication, how you communicate, the respect, right? It's not about your appearance, it's about your smell. It's about how you smell your own person and you feel comfortable with this person, and how you communicate. Everything else can be built on that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. It's so true. Salma Hayek actually said that's one of the keys to her successful marriage, and that when they do, let's say, disagree, they don't assign blame. They just look at how they're moving forward. Exactly. So there's a problem, but they say, okay, it's not your fault, or you did that, or that's why this happened. So immediately, okay, how are we moving forward? And as a result, they never fight. So yeah, it's always...
There is something very important, that you can be angry of someone, but still love this person. And even when you're fighting, you have to show this love, because there is a way to fight and there is no coming back from that. And there is a way to fight and to have a conflict, let's say. But even during this conflict, you show that you love this person. You will never say the last word. What I mean saying the last word is the word that you know that here it's going to hurt. You never press it there. You know that I'm going to say things, but that one, no. And this is about love.
Yeah, absolutely. So, oh my goodness, there's so many things I want to dive into, but let's talk about Christmas. Christmas is here. 'Tis the season to be jolly, but for many people it isn't. So we know historically that Christmas, actually it was put there, Christ wasn't even born at this period, but it was traditionally, and you know, the history is there, the old folks knew it's the most depressing time of year. It's the shortest days, it's the coldest time. So depression is even 3,000, 4,000 years ago and more, it was a difficult time. So they put a festival in the middle of it, and now it's Christmas, which is a beautiful time of year, and it can be the most special time for so many families. And yet for others, it can be the hardest. It's financially stressful, it's emotionally stressful. Many people are alone. Many people don't have anyone to celebrate it with and feel that social pressure. So let's hear your view. How can people cope with this stress? How can people feel better at this time of year? And how can people cope even with the expenses?
Listen, I think that some of the festive seasons we have, 8th of March, Christmas, Valentine's Day, they have been so much commercialized, and so they have become about the presents and the money and the decorations and everything. And we have to focus on what is real. And I think that we have drawn away from the real meaning of being together. So I think that the best coping mechanism is to be with the loved ones, with your partner, with your friends, with your pets, with your kids, with anything. Just
even, and if it's yourself, love yourself.
Yes, even if I understand we don't all have this financial ability to decorate a big Christmas tree. You don't have
and buy
to do
the
that.
million presents.
Exactly. Your kids, they don't care about presents. My niece, we had this conversation. I was in the middle of moving this Sunday, and she came. She's 8-year-old, and she said, I'm going to come and help you. And if you have big boxes, can you please, for Christmas, I wish to have a big box, like an empty box. Yes, I want to make a house out of it. And I see that you bring a present to a kid and they end up playing with a box and driving each other through the house in this box. So kids just need their loved ones to be there. They don't need a dad who is working late and comes home at 9 o'clock in the evening. They just need him there, touching, hugging. So if we could switch back to these values, to hugging each other, to touching each other, to saying nice words. The best Christmas present is if you sit down with your kids in a bed and read each other Christmas stories and listening to Christmas music. Or I remember we would sit with our family even if we had no electricity and we had no food, nothing, and we had just potatoes for Christmas. And we would sit with candle lights and we would read a book to each other. And it was the most warm memory, right? So I think that this is our wealth, our family, our close.
So beautiful, makes me want to cry.
Yes.
So true. And
Even if we don't have family, we can go to our friends. We can ask our friends, listen, I feel lonely this Christmas. Can I join you? Can I join you and your family? And we can do this. We can go to shelter and take a pet and go for a walk, some human contact, and even not human contact, a pet contact, let's say. Right. We are, let's say, social animals.
We are social animals, exactly.
Contact.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just to appreciate and do crafts, that's what I've said with the kids now. Of course, I bought some crackers, but I've saved all of the, toilet rolls. And I said, guys, you're good at jokes. You write the jokes. You make something, a present to go in, and we'll just make a few crackers. And just so they were not going to do the bang, but they'll look nice, and we'll have that whole moment of feeling proud that they've made something for the table. And
yes, it's amazing because I don't have my own children. Hopefully, at some point I will. But I see how my nephews interact with the world and all this concept about presents, and sometimes they surprise me in a very nice way when they ask for something. And I don't know. Do you want presents? What do you want for Christmas? Oh, nothing. Can I come to your house and help you clean? I'm like, are you sure you want to do that? Yes. Or can we come for a sleepover? And they come and they take the pillows, they take blankets, and they play. They don't need something. They just need you in their life.
Well, there's Gary Chapman's theory, which I love as well, the 5 love languages.
I love it.
And so I do. I look at my children, and they've all got different love languages, for sure. Yasmin has never been on presents. It's just not her thing. You'd give her something, she tosses it aside. She's, very much wants the time. Leon also, he's definitely not a present, but my little one, it's her obsession. Her obsession. Like if she could buy a present every day, and she likes the buying. So even we'll go out and she'll say, okay, she'll get her present, she'll take it home. And then the next day she says, I want another present. And I'll tell her, okay, but we've just bought this. Shall I give that one away? And she's like, yeah. She doesn't have this. And then we say with my husband, maybe it's also because we haven't spent the time playing with that present. Like she maybe wants them because she wants that bonding time afterwards to, connect. And then because we don't make a big deal about the present, it's like, oh, she has the Barbie, she should be fine now. She wants that other one. It's quite interesting.
That kids get something through the presents, because the present by itself, it's a symbolic. So we all put a meaning in this object, right?
It
so
means they love me.
Yes.
Yeah, it
If
means
you
they
give me
spend time
this,
with me.
yes, even something small, if you give, it means that you pay attention, you give me your time, your love, right? And sometimes it becomes a tool through which we can get what we need. And behind it, you can always see a need of a child for attention, for love, for anything. So present by itself, it really doesn't mean anything.
It's the symbolism behind it all. It is interesting. Okay, so let's talk a bit about therapeutic techniques. I know that you, what's it called?
EMDR.
EMDR.
Yes, I love it.
You use that, and that's obviously come to the forefront of press and psychological techniques, because I think Prince Harry was quite vocal about using it and it helping him a lot. So are there any specific therapeutic approaches or techniques that you use, that you prefer, and that you find particularly effective when dealing with patients?
Yes. Listen, I am overall in the field of psychology for 24 years, starting with my studies. And I have been trained in many different approaches, and I've been trained in CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, and of course at university we learn all the approaches in order to choose one or two. Sometimes we integrate also, and this integrative approach gives us, it is more effective, let's say. I do personally, 2 years ago, was introduced by a dear friend of mine, a colleague, and she was always saying for a year, go to MDR, go to MDR. I'm like, oh, come on. And then she just forced me to go there. And after that, the way I work has changed. I consider it a breakthrough, and I'm so sorry that I didn't
do it earlier.
Yes, to do it sooner, because EMDR and as well as CBT, they have the most significant research-based. They have researches. They have done huge things for the field of psychology. And other approaches, they do not have this base. So they are recommended by WHO as the most effective techniques, and they are very effective. How can I see it? If a client would come and speak about a problem for a year and nothing was really changing in the core, we would always go back to the core, to that particular trauma. Here and now with EMDR, it's a miracle. So what is EMDR basically? It's a therapeutic approach that says that everything that happens to us here and now, it's a result of something that has happened in the past. So let's say that you had a car crash and it created a trauma. So when that happened, you went to sleep and your brain in your sleep tried to process it. All these negative emotions, this fear and your body sensations. And sometimes you wake up in the morning, you feel quite much better, right? And what if not? What if it's something like sexual abuse? Or what if it's PTSD? So what do? You can never forget something like that. You get triggered, and every time your body goes back to the same feeling, your brain goes to the same trauma. EMDR says that it's because our brain couldn't successfully process the whole thing, and it's like stuck in your brain, let's say. So what do? During the session, we recreate the movement of your eyes, as we have a rapid eye movement, this phase of sleeping. We recreate it manually. We have this little lamp, and there is a light going back and forth. We use bilateral simulation, which is like this, the tapping or audio sound, which your two hemispheres, they get involved in this process, in this reprocessing of your trauma.
And then do you have to relive the trauma though? Do you have to go back to that moment?
You go back to that moment, but it's, it can be painful, but it's worth it. Because you go back to this trauma, you remember what happened, and you start reprocessing. You start moving your eyes, you're tapping, and then after 30 seconds, you feel like it's gone. Because the brain did the work it couldn't do before. And then I can give you an example of a case I had. A person had huge trauma after the death of relatives, and with allergic reaction. Every year, since the day of the trauma, for 40 days, this person had allergy. We started processing this trauma. During 1 hour, I would look at it and I would say, oh my God, what am I doing? Am I doing this right? This person started being covered by red dots and started sneezing and tears and everything. After an hour, it was gone. And it's been 2 years. So what it means? It
all came out.
It all came out. The brain finished the processing, and you still have the memory, but this sensation, this anxiety, this feeling you have connected to this negative emotional charge, it's gone. So you remember, you say, yeah, it happened. It was sad. It was difficult. But here and now, I can move on without this. And this is, I think this is a miracle.
I think we all know people or have heard of people that have just been through the most horrific occurrences, conditions, traumas in their life and never. I read a book from an ambulance worker, first aid. Oh no, sorry, it was a prison doctor. And one of the most hard things she saw was a regular corporate girl. You know, she was doing very well, been to university, from a good family, was going home from work one day. Someone came to steal her bag. She tried to grab it, fell, hit her head, and then woke up. Anyway, with horrific things being done to her for days, tied to a radiator. And this woman ended up in prison for pretty much her whole life because she went on so many drugs, started stealing, to get them, and because she just could not get over this horrible event that happened.
And especially nowadays, where we see so many wars going on, and
what these children see,
it's horrible. I'm afraid to think about the consequences for generations, for years, for hundreds of years after. We're going to carry this generational trauma with us, and we Armenians, we know this very well, and we get triggered by trauma which been 100 years ago, and people from that background, they need this. That's why I consider EMDR being number one. It's a breakthrough. And I wish, and I've dedicated a big part of my career to spread awareness of this method and trying to say to people, you can suffer and you can not suffer.
We've been through this, but here's the solution.
Yes.
Here's the solution. Yes. Yeah, we do see that also. I mean, then to go on to lighter notes, like with COVID and COVID babies, I noticed, so my little one is 5, was born just before COVID-19 pandemic started, and many of her class, she's the oldest, so they were born during the pandemic or at the beginning of it, and they're all tough children.
Yeah,
I can bet you in less than 10 years your office is going to be flooded with these kids with parents that just say, I don't know. And at first I was saying, oh, mine's like that because she's number 3 has to be tough, has to be louder, has to be seen. But then I'm like, no, her friend is like that. She's only number 2. And then, that one in the class is also really tough. She's the first child or the only child. And you see them all like, with their fists in their hands, and they're these tough children. And it's amazing what the first 2 years of their life of not interacting with other people or as many has shaped them. And it didn't make them timid, or it made them literally like the king of the castle. I don't know.
There is this thing that is called attachment, and Bowlby is a very distinguished scientist, and I think that what you're describing is a child with secure attachment that was born with a whole family inside, with shaping boundaries, being there, being together, not being in the kindergarten or somewhere that parents are missing. They were all there. Even if you wanted to be away, you couldn't. So you were there for your child, and you will deal with it. Of course, not everyone, because we've seen also the stories about family violence and things. We don't want to speak about it during this Christmas season, but I think that it's a big factor of being the whole family together, united, right? Going through something difficult. I could say that we're going to see difficulties in children, and I already see a lot of anxiety and social anxiety kids, 11, 12.
Exactly.
13.
I was going to say
Nobody wants to
older.
go to school. Everyone is shaking. Everyone is crying. Everyone is going through
Because
that.
they could understand it. So for the babies, it was like, oh, this is great. It was maternity leave, but really with everyone there.
Yes.
For the older children, and I keep pointing this out. I actually had a meeting with the school to point it out to them and say, look, for these kids, and they can't remember before they were 4 or 5. So if it hits when they were, 8, and then it lasted until they were 10, we're talking about 50% of their memories around that were COVID times. And the other, they can't really remember. And then we're asking them to get back to a period that they might just remember 1 or 2 years of and go back to it. For us, it was easy. I mean, 2 years of our life is, a few percent when you're older. So, of course, we went back to life as normal 2 years later. But for the children, they don't remember what that normal was. Well, I think easier. People did bounce back. I mean, I remember so many people that were like, oh, COVID, they just kind of skipped it. And then they went back to traveling. They went back to socializing.
There are many factors,
There
I
are.
think that...
but it was easier to get back into than what is normal.
It was at least, happiness to go back and see people.
Yeah. For many people, it was... I think it was just easier to sink back into it. But for a child, you can't really remember what that was before.
It
and it spent 2 years
created a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear to society. And it's easier for them to be... mistrust, easier to be online. That's why they are all hiding online. They prefer online lessons. They didn't want to go back to school, and with a huge problem.
Yeah, it's really... But, and also I feel sorry for the teachers. That's why I said to the school, you've got to help the teachers because they're the first era of professionals teaching that have ever had to go through a post-COVID child. So they've also got their own traumas to deal with and coming out of it. And then they've got to teach the kids. So I said, rather than just focusing on our children, focus on your team. Actually, they were really good. But
unfortunately, teachers and doctors, there will always be survivors. There will always be underpaid. Unfortunately, these are the things. This is the reality. So I think that there's the first people who need help, who need therapy, who needs better salaries. We all know that.
Yeah, 100%. I take my hat off to them.
Yeah.
So, favorite quote. I ask everyone this. What's your favorite quote?
I will try to translate it from Armenian. It will sound in English like...
Say it in Armenian as well. It's nice.
Եթե ինչ-որ բան շատ ես ուզում, բայց վախենում ես, անպայման արա. Վախենալու վարը. So, I will translate it. If you really, really want something, you have a dream, but you are scared, you're afraid, do it. Still do it. Be afraid, but still do it. So you will never regret that you did it.
Yeah. Yes. You'll only ever regret what you didn't do, never what you did.
Yes, because a friend of mine said, what should I do? I said, do it. I'm afraid. It's okay, cry. Cry, but do it.
Do it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes. Right, bonus question. Let's see. Mix them around a bit.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. Question from Christina. What's your go-to comfort food? God, how did she know that I love food? My mom makes this dolmadaika.
Yes.
With abelofilo, this grape leaves. And whenever she cooks it, I'm like, Mom, can you cook a separate big bowl for me so I can have it home just for myself?
Oh, you love it, huh?
Yes, this is my comfort food.
It's always mummy's food.
No food like mommy's food.
And I'll ask you a bonus question. What do you want for Christmas?
What I want for Christmas? I want to find a balance between work and life. Please. Say every time this and every time I break my promise, I really want to find this balance to stop working this much.
Yeah, and just cope with it. That's so interesting.
Because I love it. I love what I do, and I I prefer to stay at the office from 9 to 9. Even I can stay there forever. And it's really affecting my personal life, my life outside the office. And every year I give myself promise that it's going to stop this year.
Yeah.
So this is what I want for Christmas.
So you have to do it. You have to do it next year. Well, in January, I was going to release it before, but in January, I'm releasing an audiobook on balance. Yeah, on balancing life.
Wow.
Yeah. So not that I'm the guru, but so many people are always asking, how do you do it? How do you? Not that I do everything well. Everything is always up and down. I'm just doing my best. I'm like, you know what? I've been asked this question so many times. So I've written a short book on it.
You know why
I'm
people
release it
ask
on
you
audio.
that? Do you know why people ask you that? Because you make it seem so easy. You are always happy. You're always smiling. You're always in doing interesting things. Do what you love, and your children are well behaved.
Yeah.
They're kind.
They want mummy. They have those also.
But the question is because you make it seem so easy, and people want to know your secret. I want to know your secret as well.
Oh, that's so sweet. But to be honest, it really is. First of all, anybody can smile and just post a picture.
Yes.
But I think I am lucky in that my predisposition is towards happiness. My name means happiness as well. So yeah, given the choice, I'll always choose to be happy and just laugh and make the most of it. But then there's lots of practical tips as well. Of utilizing all the time.
We need that book ASAP.
So yeah, I will. Okay, and then one key message that you'd like to leave with the listeners about mental health, about wellness. If there's one thing you could tell everyone, what would that be?
Maybe not to postpone it. Do it now. Don't wait for the right moment. There will never right moment. Ask for help. It's your strength. You will spend a couple of months, maybe a year, maybe 2, but you will be happy. You will be really, truly happy.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button because it helps us more than you may realize. If you are planning on coming to visit us at St. Raphael Resort and Marina, feel free to email our reservations team quoting Hotel Talk and receive an exclusive offer just for you. We look forward to seeing you soon, hearing your feedback about our show, and producing many, many more interesting episodes just for you, our listener, and our valued guest in mind. Thank you so much, and take care.